Picture this, a battlefield. The air is thick with tension. You see Arjuna, he's a warrior, facing an impossible dilemma to fight against his own kin, his own teachers, for what he believes is a righteous cause.
Oh, wow.
It's a scene right out of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
The weight of this decision. It's enough to crush anyone's spirit.
It really is. It's fascinating how this epic battle becomes this metaphor for our own struggles, isn't it?
Yeah.
This constant push and pull of what we want, what we should do, and are we looking for something bigger?
That's exactly where chapter 15, the yoga of the Supreme Person, comes in. It's like Krishna, this divine charioteer. He's offering guidance to Arjuna and really to all of us on how to navigate this battlefield of life.
Right.
You remember our deep dives into dharma, karma, and the three gunas?
Of course, yeah.
This chapter builds on all of that, taking us deeper into the heart of self-realization.
Yeah, it's like we're piecing together this map
Right.
to inner peace, using the wisdom of the Gita as our guide. Totally. And in this chapter, we encounter this idea of the Supreme Person, this Ishvara. But it's not just some distant concept. The Gita makes this clear distinction between Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, and the Jiva, the individual soul.
Right, and remember how we talk about chapter 13, where Krishna describes the body as Kshetra, the field of activity,
Yeah.
and the soul is Kshetrajna, or the knower of the field. Well now, think of the Supreme Person as the source of both, the field and the knower. It's like the sun radiating light and life.
Illuminating everything.
Yes.
And here's where it gets really mind-blowing.
Okay.
Verse 6 of chapter 15, it says that even though this Supreme Person is unborn and unchanging, he takes on different forms through his own energy.
Right.
It's like the ocean taking the shape of waves, but always remaining the ocean.
It really challenges how we think of creation and existence, doesn't it? It suggests that everything we see, everything we experience is a manifestation of this Supreme Person, an expression of divine energy. So if everything comes from this source, where does that leave us? What's our role in all of this?
That is the question, isn't it? And the Gita offers this really profound answer. The Supreme Person is not only the source of creation, but also the ultimate goal of our spiritual journey. Like a seed contains the blueprint for a magnificent tree.
Right.
Our lives, our actions, our choices are all part of that unfolding.
It's almost like realizing you're part of this cosmic play, and understanding your role can bring a sense of purpose and even peace amidst all the chaos.
Absolutely. Think about how often we feel lost or insignificant in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
But chapter 15 suggests that we're not just random specks in this universe. We're connected to this Supreme Person, this source of everything.
Yeah.
And that connection, that has profound implications.
But the material world, with all its glitter and distractions, it can make it really hard to remember that connection, Ken.
Oh, it absolutely can. It's like being captivated by the colorful shadows on a cave wall and forgetting about the light source that's creating them. Chapter 15 reminds us that everything in the material world is impermanent,
Right.
subject to these cycles of creation and destruction, like those vast cosmic cycles, the yugas and kalpas.
It can be a bit unsettling to think about everything constantly changing,
Right.
everything eventually fading away. But doesn't that impermanence also offer a kind of freedom?
Precisely. If we cling to the temporary, well, then we're bound to suffer. But if we can recognize the transient nature of things, we can start to detach from those things that don't truly matter and focus on what's eternal.
And how do we even begin to tell the difference between what's temporary and what's eternal?
That's where understanding the three gunas becomes crucial.
Okay.
Sattva, rajas, and tamas.
Right.
Chapter 15, just like chapter 14, emphasizes how these gunas, they color our perception, they influence our actions. They're like these filters through which we experience the world.
It's like someone wearing those rose-colored glasses.
Right.
Sees everything in a rosy hue.
Exactly.
So the gunas shape our reality.
They do. They really do.
Can you give us some examples of how these gunas play out in our lives?
Okay. Imagine someone driven by sattva, this mode of goodness.
Okay.
Their actions might be characterized by kindness, wisdom, and a sense of inner peace.
Yeah.
They might dedicate themselves to helping others, pursuing knowledge, or living in harmony with nature.
While someone caught in the grip of rajas, the mode of passion might be restless, always striving for more. They might be focused on achievements or material possessions, or seeking recognition and validation.
Right, and then there are those influenced by tamas, the mode of ignorance.
Okay.
Their actions, they might be driven by delusion, anger, laziness, or a desire to escape reality.
Right.
They might struggle with negativity, addiction, or just a lack of motivation and purpose.
So we're all influenced by these gunas to varying degrees.
We all are.
And recognizing their presence in our lives, that can be a powerful first step towards making more conscious choices.
Absolutely. It's about becoming aware of these forces that shape our thoughts, our actions, so we can start to break free from those patterns that keep us stuck in these cycles of suffering.
So we've got this backdrop of a universe in constant flux driven by these three powerful forces.
Right.
And this idea of a supreme person who is both the source and the goal.
Right.
Where do we as individuals fit into all of this?
Yeah.
How do we connect with that supreme person, that source of everything?
That's where the concept of yoga comes in.
Okay.
Chapter 15 defines yoga as something quite profound. It's not just about the physical postures or breathing exercises. It's about renouncing material desires and sense gratification.
Verse 4 puts it pretty bluntly. A person is said to have attained to yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities.
It's about going beyond that constant chase for pleasure and external validation.
It really is. And who better to guide us on this path than the supreme person himself?
Verses 6 and 7 highlight this beautifully. It's the supreme person who delivers us from the cycle of birth and death when we fix our minds on him.
But how do we even begin to fix our minds on something so vast, so beyond our comprehension? There must be different approaches, different paths to this supreme person, right?
Absolutely. And the Bhagavad Gita doesn't offer just one rigid path. It introduces different ways to connect with the divine, like a mountain with multiple trails leading to the summit. Each path has its own challenges and rewards, but they all ultimately lead to the same destination.
So we've got these different paths. Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. Karma Yoga, the path of selfless action. And Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like a spiritual buffet with something for everyone.
I love that analogy. And the Gita encourages us to explore these paths, to find what resonates with us, what helps us connect with the divine.
Let's start with Bhakti Yoga. The path to devotion, it's about cultivating a deep love and surrender to the supreme person, all right?
Exactly. And the beauty of Bhakti Yoga is that it's accessible to everyone, regardless of background, social status. It's about the purity of the heart, the intensity of the devotion.
There's a beautiful line in chapter 17 that speaks to this. Those who are full of faith, who are detestful of the fruits of action, who are completely free from all association, they, upon taking shelter of devotional service, fully cleanse the heart of all material desires.
It's like this purification process.
Right.
A letting go of the ego,
Yeah.
an attachment, and that surrender. It's key, isn't it? It's recognizing that we're not in control, that there's a higher power guiding us, like a child surrendering to the love and care of a parent.
But surrender doesn't mean becoming passive or inactive. It's about aligning our will with the divine will, acting in accordance with his higher purpose.
Right. Think of Arjuna on the battlefield.
Right.
He surrendered to Krishna's guidance,
Uh-huh.
but he still had to fight. His surrender empowered him to act with courage and clarity.
Now that makes me think about Karma Yoga, the path of selfless action. It's about performing our duties, our dharma, without being attached to the results.
Right. And that detachment, that's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about doing what needs to be done without getting caught up in the outcome, in success or failure.
It's like a surgeon performing a surgery.
Right.
They're focused on the task at hand, on using their skills to help the patient, without worrying about whether the surgery will be a success.
Right. And that's a powerful way to live, isn't it?
Yeah.
It frees us from anxiety, from worry. It allows us to act with greater clarity and purpose.
But let's be real, detaching from the fruits of our actions,
Yeah.
that's easier said than done, especially in a world that's obsessed with outcomes and achievements.
It absolutely is. It's a practice, a
Yeah.
constant process of refining our intentions and letting go of that need to control everything.
And then there's Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge.
Right.
It's about understanding the nature of reality, of the self,
Yeah.
and the supreme person.
It's about moving beyond the illusions of the material world
Right.
and realizing our true nature as spiritual beings, as sparks of the divine.
But it's not just about intellectual knowledge, is it? It's about embodying that knowledge, living it in every aspect of our lives.
Think of a scientist who makes a groundbreaking discovery. It's not enough to just publish the findings in a journal. The real impact comes from applying that knowledge, from using it to create something new, to benefit humanity.
So it's like with Jnana Yoga, It's not enough to just study the scriptures or have philosophical discussions. The real transformation happens when we integrate that knowledge into our actions, our relationships, our whole way of being.
Exactly. And all of these paths, bhakti, karma, and jhana, they're all interconnected, aren't they?
Yeah.
They complement and support each other.
Like strands of a rope,
Yeah.
each one adding strength and resilience to the whole.
Chapter 15 doesn't just present these paths in isolation.
Right.
It weaves them together, showing how devotion can inspire selfless action, how knowledge can deepen our devotion,
Right.
and how selfless action can lead to greater understanding.
It's just like this beautiful tapestry, with each thread contributing to the overall beauty and richness of the design.
And that design,
Yeah.
that ultimate goal, its union with the Supreme Person,
Yeah.
that realization of our inherent connection to the divine.
Now, all this talk about yoga and different paths, this might seem a bit abstract.
Right.
How do we actually put these teachings into practice in our modern lives?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And chapter 15, like the rest of the Bhagavad Gita, it isn't just a theoretical treatise.
Right.
It's a practical guide
Yeah.
for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
So let's get down to brass tacks.
Yeah.
What are some concrete examples of how we can bring these teachings into our daily lives?
Well, one of the most powerful teachings from chapter 15
Okay.
is the importance of detachment.
Right.
Verse 4 highlights this beautifully. A person is said to have attained to yoga when, having renounced all material desires, he neither acts for sense gratification nor engages in fruitive activities.
So it's about letting go of that constant craving for more, that attachment to material possessions, outcomes, and even relationships. It's about recognizing that true happiness comes from within, not from external things.
So that's a pretty radical idea in our consumer-driven society, isn't it?
Totally.
We're constantly bombarded with messages telling us we need this product, that experience,
Right.
or that achievement to be happy.
It's like we're on a treadmill. Always running, but never really getting anywhere.
The Gita offers a different perspective, though.
Right.
It suggests that lasting fulfillment comes not from acquiring more, but from letting go,
Yeah.
from detaching from the things that don't truly nourish our souls.
But how do we even begin to cultivate that detachment in a world that's so focused on getting and having?
It starts with small steps,
Yeah.
with becoming aware of our attachments.
Right.
What are the things that we cling to?
Right.
What are the fears that drive our desires?
Maybe it's a fear of scarcity, fear of not being enough,
Right.
or fear of losing what we have.
Once we recognize those fears, we can start to challenge them. We can ask ourselves, is this thing truly essential for my happiness?
Yeah.
Or am I clinging to it out of fear or insecurity?
And it's not about renouncing everything, right? It's about finding a balance,
Yeah.
a healthy detachment.
Exactly. It's about enjoying the gifts of life without becoming enslaved by them.
But detachment doesn't mean becoming indifferent or emotionless. It's about experiencing life fully
Yeah.
without getting caught in the drama, the highs and lows.
Think of it like watching a movie. You can get engrossed in the story, experience the emotions, but you also know that it's just a movie. You don't get attached to the characters or the outcome.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
It's about being present in the moment, but also having that awareness that everything is temporary, everything is constantly changing.
And that awareness,
Right.
it can be incredibly liberating.
Yeah.
It frees us from clinging to things that are bound to change or disappear.
But it's not just about detachment, is it? Chapter 15 also emphasizes the importance of selfless action, of acting in service to others.
Right. It's about recognizing that we're not isolated individuals, but part of this larger web of life. And our actions, no matter how small, they have ripple effects.
It reminds me of the butterfly effect.
Yes.
The idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil can set off a chain of events that leads to a tornado in Texas. Our actions have consequences, both seen and unseen.
And the Gita encourages us to act in ways that benefit not just ourselves, but also the world around us.
Right.
It's about aligning our actions with our highest values,
Yeah.
with our understanding of Dharma, our duty to ourselves and to others.
But selfless action doesn't mean becoming a martyr or sacrificing our own well-being. It's about finding that sweet spot where we're serving others
Right.
while also honoring our own needs and aspirations.
It's about recognizing that true happiness comes from giving,
Right.
from contributing to something larger than ourselves.
And it doesn't have to be grand gestures.
Right.
It can be these simple acts of kindness, compassion, and generosity in our daily interactions.
Like holding the door open for someone, listening to a friend in need,
Right.
or volunteering our time for a cause we believe in.
And these acts of selfless service, they don't just benefit others, they also transform us from the inside out.
Think about how you feel after helping someone.
Right.
There's a sense of joy, a lightness of being
Right.
that comes from acting in alignment with our true nature.
It's like we're tapping into a wellspring of love and compassion. That exists within us all.
And that's what the yoga of the Supreme Person is all about.
Yeah.
It's about connecting with that divine spark
Right.
within ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and letting it radiate outwards, illuminating the world around us.
But it's not always easy to stay connected to that inner light, especially when we're faced with challenges and setbacks.
That's where the teachings on equanimity come in. Chapter 14, verse 57, it beautifully describes this state of being. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger, is called a sage of steady mind.
So it's about maintaining a sense of inner peace and stability regardless of what's happening around us.
Think of a mountain.
Right.
It stands firm, unshakable, no matter the storms that rage around it.
So it's not about suppressing our emotions or becoming indifferent to the world. It's about cultivating that inner strength and resilience that allows us to navigate the ups and downs of life without losing our center.
And that equanimity
Right.
is closely linked to the practice of nishkama karma,
Okay.
desireless action.
Right.
It's about acting without attachment to the results,
Uh-huh.
doing what needs to be done simply because it's the right thing to do. Like a gardener tending to their plants. They water, weed, and nurture the plants without any expectation of reward or recognition. They do it because it's their dharma, their duty, and because they find joy and fulfillment in the act of caring for something outside themselves.
And that's a powerful way to live, isn't it?
It is.
It frees us from the tyranny of the ego, from that constant need for validation and reward. It allows us to act from a place of love and service without any strings attached.
And that's where true freedom lies. It's not about getting what we want. It's about aligning our actions with our highest values, with that inner compass that guides us towards our true north.
So we've got detachment, selfless action, equanimity, and nishkama karma.
Yeah.
These are all powerful tools for navigating the complexities of life
Yeah.
and connecting with that supreme person, that source of everything.
And it's important to remember that these aren't just abstract concepts.
Yeah,
They're practices, ways of being
right.
that we can cultivate in our daily lives.
But how do we keep these practices alive amidst the busyness and distractions of the modern world?
That's where the importance of spiritual practice comes in.
Okay.
Chapter 15 encourages us to cultivate a regular practice. That nourishes our connection to the divine. That reminds us of who we truly are.
So we're talking about things like meditation, prayer, chanting, studying the scriptures.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be a grand, time-consuming affair.
Right.
Even a few minutes each day
Yeah.
can make a world of difference. The key is consistency.
Yeah.
Creating a rhythm of practice
Right.
that helps us stay grounded amidst the chaos of daily life.
And remember, spiritual practice isn't just about sitting on a cushion with our eyes closed. It's about bringing these principles into every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely.
So it's about how we interact with others,
Yeah.
how we approach our work, how we make decisions, how we care for ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. The yoga of the Supreme Person is a way of life,
Right.
not just a set of practices. It's about embodying these principles
Yeah.
in everything we do.
But it's a journey, not a destination.
Absolutely.
It's a constant process of growth and transformation.
It is. And like any journey, there will be ups and downs, challenges, setbacks. But the Gita reminds us that we're not alone on this path.
Right.
We have the guidance of the Supreme Person,
Yeah.
the support of wise teachers, and the inspiration of those who have walked this path before us.
And we have each other, right?
Yeah.
We can share our experiences, our insights, our struggles, and our triumphs.
Absolutely. Community is essential. It's through sharing and supporting each other that we can truly embody these teachings and make a positive impact on the world.
So we've talked about detachment, selfless action, equanimity, nishkama karma,
Right.
and the importance of spiritual practice.
Right.
But there's one more key principle from chapter 15 that we need to address.
Okay.
Faith and surrender.
Yes. That's the heart of it all, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the foundation upon which all the other practices rest.
But what does it really mean to have faith in the context of the yoga of the Supreme Person? It's not about blind faith, is it?
No. It's not about blindly believing in something we don't understand. It's about cultivating this deep trust in the divine,
Okay.
a belief in this higher power that guides and supports us,
Right.
even when we can't see the whole picture.
It's about having faith in the process, even when things get tough. It's about trusting that there's a bigger plan at play, even when we don't know what it is.
And that trust, that faith,
Yeah.
it's often born out of experience.
Okay.
It's like learning to ride a bike. At first, you might be wobbly and unsure,
Right.
but as you practice, you gain confidence.
Yeah.
You start to trust your balance, and eventually you can ride with ease.
So it's not about forcing ourselves to believe in something.
Right.
It's about allowing our faith to grow organically
Mm-hmm.
through practice and experience.
Exactly. And surrender is the natural outcome of that faith.
Okay.
It's about letting go of the ego's need to control everything,
Right.
about relinquishing our limited perspective and trusting in the wisdom of the divine.
It's about recognizing that we're not the ultimate doers,
Right.
that there's a higher power at play, and allowing ourselves to be guided by that power.
It's like a leaf surrendering to the flow of a river. It doesn't resist, doesn't struggle. It simply allows itself to be carried by the current, trusting that it will eventually reach its destination.
That's a beautiful image. And it reminds us that surrender isn't about becoming passive or powerless.
No, not at all.
It's about aligning our will with the divine will, allowing ourselves to be instruments of this higher purpose.
And that alignment,
Yeah.
that's surrender.
Yeah.
It's the key to unlocking the true potential of the yoga of the Supreme Person.
Okay.
It's about becoming these vessels for the divine to work through us, allowing love, compassion, and wisdom to flow through us and into the world.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've explored the different paths of yoga, delved into practical examples of detachment, selfless action, equanimity, nishkama karma, talked about the importance of faith and surrender.
But we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't leave you with something to really ponder, something to take with you as you continue on your own journey of self-discovery.
Chapter 15 isn't all sunshine and roses, though, is it? It paints this pretty stark picture of the enemy within.
Right.
All those negative forces we grapple with, like greed, anger, delusion, all those things that can sabotage our efforts to live a fulfilling life.
It's like those internal battles we're always fighting.
Right.
Those moments when we know what's right, but struggle to actually choose it.
Yeah, verse 9 is a powerful reminder of what's at stake in this inner battle. Following such conclusions, the demonic, who are lost to themselves and who have no intelligence, engage in unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. It's like these negative forces, they don't just harm ourselves, they can ripple outwards.
Yes.
And affect everyone around us.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's not always about this large-scale distraction, though. Think about the little wars we have in our relationships. The gossip we spread, the unkind words we speak. Those can be just as destructive in their own way.
It's like we're all fighting these internal demons to some extent.
We are.
But the Yoga of the Supreme Person, it seems to offer tools for winning this inner battle.
It does. And it's not about denying those negative aspects of ourselves. It's about recognizing them,
Okay.
understanding their root, and then choosing a different path.
So we're not just passively accepting our flaws, we're actively working to transform them. It's like weeding a garden. You pull out the negativity to make space for something beautiful to grow.
Exactly. And chapter 15 offers that roadmap for this inner transformation,
Okay.
guiding us towards self-realization, towards understanding our true nature and our connection to the divine.
It's like that image of the upside-down banyan tree from verse 1, right? There's a banyan tree which has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. It suggests that our true nourishment comes from connecting with the spiritual,
Yeah.
and not just from chasing after the material world.
It's a powerful reminder that even though our attention is often drawn to the external world, our roots are in the spiritual.
But sometimes those roots need a little extra support, don't they? That's where the importance of finding guidance comes in, just like Arjuna had Krishna as his charioteer.
It's true. We all need mentors, teachers, or communities to help us along the way. Sometimes we need a little push to remember those teachings when we get caught up in the chaos of life.
Right, and let's not forget the Gita itself. It's like this timeless guidebook for navigating this journey, full of wisdom and insights that we can always return to.
Absolutely. Speaking of guidance, let's bring in the wisdom of another great spiritual teacher, Lord Caitanya.
Okay.
He emphasized the importance of cultivating humility on this path.
Right. He said that a true devotee is humbler than a blade of grass. It's such a beautiful image. It suggests that true spiritual growth comes from a place of humility, from recognizing that we don't have all the answers.
It does. It's about letting go of the ego's need to be right, to control everything, and opening ourselves up to learning and growing.
And that humility that can be so transformative. It allows us to connect with others on a deeper level, to see the divine in everyone we meet.
It helps us to move through the world with more kindness, compassion, and understanding.
So we've talked about the battlefield within,
Yeah.
about overcoming those negative forces that hold us back. But what about the battlefield without?
Right.
How did these teachings help us navigate the challenges of the external world?
Well, chapter 15 encourages us to act with detachment and equanimity,
Right.
to do our duty without getting entangled in the results. It's about staying grounded, not getting swept away by the drama or chaos of the world around us.
It's about remembering that we're not alone in this. We're all connected. And our actions, they have ripple effects, for better or worse.
So even small acts of kindness and compassion can make a difference. They can create a ripple of positivity that spreads outwards, touching countless lives.
So we've come full circle. We started with Arjuna on the battlefield,
Right.
facing this seemingly impossible choice. And now, chapter 15 has equipped us with a different kind of armor, the armor of wisdom, compassion, and equanimity.
It's the armor that allows us to face our own internal battles,
Right.
and navigate the complexities of the external world with grace, courage, and purpose.
And it's not a one-time purchase.
No.
It's something we have to keep polishing, keep refining as we continue on our journey.
Absolutely.
And who knows, maybe we can even inspire others to join us on this path,
Yeah.
to create a world that reflects the beauty and wisdom of the yoga of the Supreme Person.
I hope so.
As we wrap up this deep dive into chapter 15, we leave you with this question. How can you bring the wisdom of the yoga of the Supreme Person into your own life? How can you cultivate greater detachment, act with more selfless compassion, and deepen your understanding of your true nature and your connection to the divine? It's a question worth pondering, a journey worth embarking on. And if you're looking for more explorations of ancient wisdom and its relevance to modern life, be sure to subscribe to the deep dive. Thanks for joining us.